Hello YouTube, it's William here with Cardinals Trains, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at every single Rivarossi Production Hudson. This is another one take, and I'm not using my normal camera simply because my phone wouldn't really have the space on it to handle something like this. So what you're looking at is every single Production Hudson that Rivarossi made over the course of its run, with the exception of the Serie A Oro Hudson. And the reason I omitted that one is because it's not a production Hudson. To the best of my knowledge, there's only one out there, and it's at the Rivarossi Museum as we speak, and so I will never get my hands on one of those. Nor will anyone else, for that matter. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump in. I do apologize for the loud-ass dehumidifier in the background. But anyways, let's get to taking a look at these. And of course, this guy is over here for a reason. This is my one-off Rivarossi New Haven i5. Really terrible custom job done by the previous owner on a Blue Goose shell and chassis. Really unfortunate, but I'm glad I was able to rescue it from them. And we will talk how much I paid for each of these in just a moment. Anyways, continuing on to the actual production Hudsons. The first one here, it's kind of a beauty. It's the Boston and Albany Hudson. This one has the white boiler front, as you can see there, and I'm not sure why this thing won't focus. It's kind of driving me crazy. There we go. Anyways, it's the Boston and Albany Hudson with that gorgeous white boiler front. Really awesome Rivarossi drive. Red box locomotive, not crazy expensive and not too much to get excited over. The only visual complaint with the thing is right here. It's the tender and it's slightly green for some reason. Next up is the C&O, I believe L2, number 303, right on the boiler front there. Gorgeous, gorgeous locomotive, runs super well, red box engine, and tender. Fantastic unit. Next to that is the 464 Valley Flyer. Yes, I know I'm missing the front skirt piece, but I am fortunate enough that it included the two side skirts. The full set is in the box over there, which I will be uploading a video on eventually. Anyways, next to that, we have the Blue Goose, which is one of the most famous models from Rivarossi, probably after their Dreyfuss. Gorgeous locomotive and passenger cars. Mine was quite a fight to get it running consistently, but I am super, super glad that I did. Then right here, we have the Rivarossi Concord U.S. Army Hospital Train, another super unique engine with a lot of really cool details, like the, cross on the cab roof, and the U.S. Army Transportation Corps lettering on the tender. Super, super neat engine. Really great set. Super glad to have it. The next to that is the three New York Central Standard Hudsons, numbers 5405, 5442, and 5438. We have the Standard Drive Black Boiler Front Hudson, the Red Box Drive Gray Boiler Front Super Hudson with Scullin drivers, and the Hornby era Hudson with Scullin drivers and silver boiler front. This one is far and away the hardest to find of the bunch, and usually the most expensive when you do. Also, the box is hanging out over there. Look just how massive that thing is compared to everything around it. It even manages to dwarf the consolidation box somehow. Anyways, these are all virtually identical except for, of course, drives and a couple minor paint differences. Next to that, we have the 464 Cardinals Train locomotive. One of the most colorful engines you'll see on the table, and by far one of the most gorgeous. This is my second favorite of the limited edition sets made by Rivarossi. My favorite is just a little bit further down the line. And of course, it has that absolutely beautiful red train that it pulls. Next to that, we have both of the Dreyfusses that Rivarossi made. We have the standard Dreyfuss Hudson and the Super Dreyfuss with the Scullin drivers and centipede tender. And I'll try and see if I can get that in the shot. I don't want to move any of these because I spent forever lining them up so that I could take pictures with them. But I'll be doing so shortly. And I'll probably, if I decide to actually edit this, I'll put those at the end. Also, another thing to note is that someday I plan to make a video with run-bys of each of these and detailed information on all of them. But anyways, for now we're just taking a look. As you can see, this has a big boy tender repainted for the New York Central. Not prototypical, I know, but it is Rivarossi, and that's why I own it. Next to that is one of the most beautiful engines that you will see on this table. It is the Empire State Express Hudson. I believe the number on this one is 5426, which has been confirmed by my friend to be actually accurate, but this thing is just unbelievably beautiful. Fantastic streamlined design. Looks right at home along the Hudsons, or all of the other Hudsons. Excuse me, Dreyfus's. These are all Hudsons. Anyways, this thing is just stunning, really. And then next to that is the Milwaukee F7. Equally stunning, gorgeous streamlining, and fantastic passenger cars, much like the rest of the Hudsons on the table. This thing was the object of my desire for the longest time, and when I finally got one, I was absolutely ecstatic. And last, but most certainly not least, is the Chessie L1 Hudson. Absolutely freaking gorgeous locomotive by Rivarossi and Concours, with some fantastic streamlining, and again, an amazing passenger set to go with. Now, of course, I know there's going to be the one commenter who's ranting about how some of these are not exactly prototypical. And I understand that. But the point was never to be prototypical. The point was for them to be Rivarossi. That's why I own them, and that's why I love them. So anyways, now there's just a couple other things I'd like to mention. I don't have every single cab number of each locomotive ever created. I simply have one of each shell type and paint color. The reason for this is because I simply don't want them. It's not worth the extra money, time, and effort to me, and I'm quite content having one of each Production Rivarossi Hudson mold and paint scheme. The other thing to note is that the prices I paid for these vary greatly. Some of them I paid for average price, some of them I practically stole, and others were a little bit higher than I would have personally liked. These are arranged in no particular order. I'm just going to start going down the line and we'll discuss price on these. This one ended up costing me 35 bucks. It's a bastardized, really awful creation, so wouldn't expect anything less. Redbox drive for 35 bucks. Really, that's the only reason I bought it, is because if I ever need to use a Redbox drive, boom, I've got one right there. The Boston and Albany Hudson, while difficult to find at a reasonable price, is not usually that expensive, somewhere in the neighborhood of 100. I came out slightly ahead of the curve and got this one for 65 bucks. Now, do bear in mind that I'm having to remember some of these from a really long time ago, so I'll probably mess these up, and I guarantee you it won't be congruous with my older videos. This is my C&O L2, as I've already discussed. This one is really hard to find, and usually even harder to find at a good price. I usually see them end up somewhere around $150 to $200. If I'm remembering correctly, I paid $90 for mine. The Valley Flyer's locomotive alone usually costs, again, right around 150 bucks, but I got mine with the entire set. The entire set usually runs around $300 to $400. My whole set was 155 bucks. Blue Goose, another expensive one. Drive doesn't really factor into it. It's usually anywhere from $120 up to $300, if you can believe it. Mine was 65, and it came with 2 of the passenger cars, but of course it had a whole bunch of issues I had to sort through. The Hospital Train was an expensive one for me. I paid more than I would have liked to for it at $275 for the complete boxed set. That's pretty on par. The standard Hudson, though, I scored the deepest cut on, I feel, because I got this one for $17.50 after installing new traction tires. This thing was an absolute steal. Next to it is the Super Hudson, the gray boiler front one. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe this one was either $45 or $65, but I'm leaning towards $45. I just don't remember. It was from a video shot quite a long time ago. This one was also fairly expensive. After final refunds, as there were a couple things on it that had issues, ended up costing me an even $100, which is again ahead of the curve. These are usually anywhere from $150 to $300. The Cardinals Train was another absolute catch for me. This one was again $150. I did have to trade some stuff along with this one, but it really wasn't a big deal. It was a bunch of diesel locomotives and just other stuff that I never ran anymore. Generally smaller steam of the Model Power Bachmann variety. The Dreyfuss that started it all. This was my first real Rivarossi locomotive, and this one actually ended up coming out pretty good at right around $50. The Scullin Super Hudson. Ooh man, this one was an expensive boy. The only one that I know of for sale right now is up for $300 bidding on eBay. I've seen them go at the cheapest around $125, $110, all the way up to around $300. These fluctuate quite a bit. Mine was middle of the road at $150, if I'm remembering correctly. my Empire State, and I kind of walked out on this one with a pretty great deal as well, as I usually see these around $200 to $250 upwards. I got mine for, if I remember correctly, it was either 100 or 125 bucks. I'm leaning towards 125, but I think it might have been 100. I don't know. It's been a really long time. The F7 actually just cost me the price to ship the stuff I traded for it. I traded about $75 worth of diesel locomotives for this guy. Like I said, it ran horribly when I got it, but I overhauled it as I usually do, and now it runs smooth like butter. And the chassis was the singular most expensive of the bunch. This guy, including the entire boxed set, ended up costing me a whopping $450. Not cheap by the stretch of anyone's imagination. I have never seen one sell for less than $750 though, so I am very satisfied with the price that I paid. I'm not going to do the math on how much all of this cost me, but as I'm sure you can see, it's a small fortune to acquire all of these. But anyways, I just really wanted to show this to you guys. If you're on any of the Facebook groups, I'll probably end up posting some pictures of all these locomotives there. If not, maybe just on my YouTube channel. We'll see what I do with it. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with everyone and go over a couple details about each engine. So thank you guys so much for watching. Keep your eyes peeled as I eventually plan to shoot a much more detailed video with run-bys of each locomotive and its respective set. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.